To hear this and many more audiobooks not available on YouTube in a podcast feed, please visit the first link in the description below, and thank you for your support.
The Governance of China, Volume 4, by Xi Jinping. Part 2, Overall CPC Leadership. Keep matters of national significance to the fore. April 20th, 2020 to March 1st, 2022. Excerpts from speeches made between April 20th, 2020 and March 1st, 2022. We must be politically aware and build a clear understanding of matters of national significance by paying close attention to the Central Committee's main concerns and priorities, by fully understanding what matters most to the party and the country, and by seeing clearly what we must uphold. We must not pay lip service to the four consciousnesses, the four sphere confidence, and the two upholds. We must act on them. From the speech during a visit to Shanxi Province, April 20th through April 23rd, 2022. Footnote 1. The four consciousnesses refers to maintaining political commitment, thinking in terms of the general picture, following the core leadership of the CPC Central Committee, and acting in accordance with its requirements. End of footnote 1. Footnote 2. The four-sphere confidence refers to confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics. Footnote 3. The two upholds refers to upholding General Xi Jinping's core position on the CPC Central Committee and in the party as a whole, and upholding the authority of the Central Committee and its centralized, unified leadership. End of footnote 3. Returning to the main text. Leading officials must have a clear understanding of matters of national significance in analyzing problems and making decisions. Build a strategic vision and think about the overall situation, rather than being short-sighted and focusing only on local interests. Learn to integrate local and departmental work into the overall undertakings of the party and the state, contributing to both local and overall development. From the speech at the opening ceremony of a training program for younger officials at the Central Party School, National Academy of Governance on October 10th, during its 2020 fall semester. With a clear focus on matters of national significance, party members and officials at all levels, particularly leading officials, must strengthen their political stance and commitment to the party and reinforce party consciousness. When we have problems to solve or decisions to make at work, we must first and foremost consider them from the political perspective, checking against the party constitution, regulations on internal party activities, and party disciplinary regulations to see what we should do or are allowed to do before taking action. This is the only way that we can withstand tests, resist temptation, and become rational political actors. This is exactly as an old saying goes. A person without virtue has no high aspirations. A person without talent has no keen insights. Footnote 4. Wang Chong, Discourses Weighed in the Balance, Lun Heng. Wang Chong, 27 to circa 97, was a philosopher, thinker, and literary critic in the Eastern Han Dynasty. End of footnote 4. From the speech at the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, January 22nd, 2021. Only with a sound political perspective can we build a thorough understanding of the Central Committee's major policies, decisions, and plans, and work with foresight and initiative. It is imperative for officials at all levels, especially those in senior positions, to constantly improve their political acumen, understanding, and capacity to deliver. Officials must be very clear about the priorities of the country and strictly follow the Central Committee's guiding principles when conceiving major strategies, formulating major policies, planning major tasks, and implementing major programs. We should regularly examine ourselves against our goals and standards and promptly rectify any deviation. From the speech at the 27th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee, January 28, 2021. This year is important as we have just embarked on the march towards the second centenary goal of building a modern socialist country in all respects, and we will soon convene the 20th CPC National Congress. We must follow to the letter the guiding principles of the 19th CPC National Congress and of all the plenary sessions of the 19th CPC Central Committee, strengthen our commitment to the four consciousnesses, the four-sphere confidence, and the two upholds, have a better understanding of matters of national significance, and closely follow the party's central leadership in thinking, action, and political commitment. From the instruction to the work reports of some officials, February 2022. We should be fully conscious of all matters of national significance, and analyze problems and take actions from an overall strategic perspective. In doing all our work, we must first and foremost implement the decisions and plans of the Central Committee. We must never damage overall interests for the sake of local interests or harm fundamental and long-term interests for the sake of short-term interests. From the speech at the opening ceremony of a training program for younger officials at the Central Party School, National Academy of Governance, on March 1st, during its 2022 spring semester. Strengthen our political acumen, understanding, and capacity to deliver. December 24th through 25th, 2020. Main points of the speech at a meeting of criticism and self-criticism among members of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee. We are going to celebrate the centenary of our party next year, from the epoch-making founding of the CPC all the way to the establishment of the PRC that opened a brand new chapter, from the reform and opening up that brought nationwide change all the way to the post-18th CPC National Congress era that witnessed historic achievements and transformations in the undertakings of our party and our state. The fundamental reason for a century of successes is that the party has remained true to its original aspiration and founding mission to seek happiness for the Chinese people and rejuvenation for the Chinese nation. To sustain this original aspiration and founding mission and guarantee enduring success in the undertakings of the party and the people, we must reinforce political awareness, look at problems from a political perspective, grasp the overall political situation, and improve our political acumen, understanding, and capacity to deliver. Taking a clear political stance is a distinctive feature of a Marxist party and also a political strength that our party has valued from the outset. In exercising leadership and governance, the key is to keep the correct political orientation, preserve the political character of the party, and forge ahead on the path of building socialism with Chinese characteristics. We, members of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, must be adept at observing and dealing with problems from a political perspective, in the same way as we do in shooting, knowing the range, aligning the sights, and aiming at the bullseye, to make political awareness an inner part of our thinking rather than a requirement imposed from the outside. A clear political stance requires sound political acumen. One point has been constantly proved in the historical process of revolution, construction, and reform under the leadership of the party. Political proactivity is the most favorable form of proactivity, while political passivity is the most dangerous form of passivity. To improve political acumen, we must prioritize national political security, secure the people's interests, uphold and develop Chinese socialism, and increase our capacity for evaluating changing situations, identifying the true nature of issues, telling right from wrong, mitigating risks, and rising to challenges. As members of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee, we must be capable of reflecting on issues of fundamental significance to the overall and long-term undertakings of the party and the state, strengthen our efforts in drawing up strategic, systemic, and proactive plans, stay sober-minded and insightful when dealing with major issues or making critical decisions. We must have the ability to distinguish political problems from everyday work, have a keen eye for sensitive matters and tendencies that might trigger political issues, learn to understand the political logic behind complex contradictions and relationships, and maintain our political stance and direction. A clear political stance requires good political understanding. Leading officials, particularly high-ranking ones, who shoulder political responsibilities, must have a thorough understanding of the guidelines of the Central Committee and follow them closely in analyzing situations and improving their work. In other words, they must always align themselves with the requirements of the Central Committee. As the key organizers and leaders of the implementation of these guidelines, we members of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee must work harder to increase our political understanding and to fully understand matters of national significance and our role in relation to such matters. A clear political stance requires the capacity to deliver. Leading officials, particularly high-ranking ones, must uphold the guidelines of the Central Committee, respond promptly to its calls, fully implement its decisions, put a stop to anything it prohibits, and resolutely uphold its authority and centralized, unified leadership without hesitation or deviation. We must make preparations for worst-case scenarios, focus on solving problems in our work, be sharp and quick in foreseeing and identifying potential threats, and take preventive measures. We must increase our sense of responsibility and act accordingly and face up to and resolve problems when they arise. A clear political stance requires strict discipline. We members of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee must exercise consistent self-cultivation and self-discipline, maintain self-respect, conduct self-examination, stay alert and motivated, maintain the strictest discipline, even when unsupervised, guard against temptation, identify erroneous ideas from the outset, and be cautious in making friends. To preserve our integrity, we must cherish our moral principles as we do our lives. We must set an example in restraining family members and opposing the exploitation of privilege. Strengthen overall CPC leadership in socialist modernization. January 11th, 2021. Part of the speech at a study session on implementing the decisions of the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee, attended by principal officials at the provincial and ministerial level. CPC leadership is the defining feature of Chinese socialism, in which the combinations of theoretical and practical innovation and of confidence in the system and culture feature most prominently. Together they evolve into strengths in politics, theory, system, and culture that boost development. The implementation of decisions of the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee should operate in parallel with those of the 4th plenary session. In modernizing China's governance system and capacity, we must unify the political strengths of overall party leadership, the institutional strengths of Chinese socialism and the theoretical strengths of our new development philosophy. While exercising the party's leadership in socialist modernization, we must make its division of functions more rational, reinforce its systems and mechanisms, and render its operations and management more efficient. The implementation of the decisions of the 5th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee determines the overall development of the undertakings of the party and the state in the coming 5 to 15 years, and even longer. The recommendations for formulating the 14th Five-Year Plan for Economic and Social Development and Long-Range Objectives through the year 2035, adopted at the meeting, is rich in content. It lays out guiding principles, strategic thoughts, overall plans, and specific requirements. It includes both strategies for implementation since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012 and major new judgments and strategic measures. Without hard effort, you will not gain a good grasp of this report, and without a good grasp, you will miss the point and fail to enforce it effectively. Leading officials at all levels, particularly those in senior positions, must study the original text paragraph by paragraph, and have a good understanding of the key points and innovative proposals while bearing the overall picture in mind. You should carry forward the good tradition of combining theory with practice. Consider both the current situation and long-term development, and increase enthusiasm, initiative, and creativity in work. I have emphasized on many occasions that high-ranking officials must make themselves into Marxist statesmen and stateswomen, and leading officials at all levels must take a clear political stance. Not long ago, I reiterated this at a meeting of criticism and self-criticism among members of the Political Bureau. Economic work has never been abstract or isolated. It is a network of specifics. Officials at all levels, and particularly those in senior positions, must consider the overarching goal of national rejuvenation in the context of change on a scale unseen in a century. Improve their political acumen, understanding, and capacity to deliver, and bear in mind matters of national significance. You must improve your political ability, strategic vision, and professionalism in understanding the new development stage, acting on the new development philosophy, and creating the new development dynamic. You should readily take on responsibilities and fully implement decisions and plans of the Central Committee. In leading this huge Eastern country with over 1 billion people towards socialist modernization, our party must seek truth from facts, pursue progress while ensuring stability, advance our work in a coordinated manner, and intensify efforts in forward-thinking overall planning, strategic deployment, and comprehensive progress. Thus, we can achieve rapid, efficient, and safe development while maintaining quality, structure, and scale. No region or ethnic group will be left behind when the whole country is working hard towards the goal of realizing all-round socialist modernization. At the same time, we must understand that regional disparities and imbalanced development make concurrent modernization impossible. So, we should encourage the most capable regions to take the lead and support other regions to this end. The Spring Festival is approaching. Local party and government officials must pay more attention to COVID-19 prevention and ensure security, stability, people's well-being, and supply of goods. You should identify problems early, attend to details, make real efforts to neutralize risks, and create a peaceful and harmonious social environment. You must make COVID-19 prevention and control regular and consistent, fully and carefully implementing the necessary measures to bring sporadic cases under quick and effective control. You must undertake a full review of any social tension, increase your analytical capability, and avoid or mitigate all potential risk factors through a proactive approach. Supply of energy and other goods and transport safety must be ensured during the Spring Festival. A sound prevention and control system must be put in place to combat all crimes endangering people's lives and property and ensure social stability. Problems that might trigger incidents of social disturbance, such as defaulting on payments to construction enterprises and delaying rural migrant workers' wages, must be settled quickly. Comrades, a statement made by Deng Xiaoping in 1992 often rings in my ears. If we can make China a moderately developed country within 100 years from the founding of the People's Republic, that will be an extraordinary achievement. The period from now to the middle of the next century will be crucial. We must immerse ourselves in hard work. We have difficult tasks to accomplish and bear a heavy responsibility. Footnote 1. Deng Xiaoping. Excerpts from talks given in Wuchang, Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Shanghai. Selected works of Deng Xiaoping, Volume 3, English edition, Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1994, page 370. End of footnote 1. Now the tasks and responsibilities fall on us. We must step forward to take on these responsibilities, unite the people, lead them to work diligently, and deliver results that live up to the expectations of the party, the people, and history. Reinforce our party's political foundations for unity and solidarity. November 11th, 2021. Part of the speech at the second full assembly of the 6th plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee. Unity and solidarity are our party's lifelines and the keys to our historic achievements over the past century. We have always kept our political foundations strong by guiding party members to increase their political awareness and hold to the correct political direction and stance. All party members have closely followed the party's political guideline and are unified in thinking as a capable organization with an iron will and coordinated action. Our party has grown mature and strong over a long course. In the early days of the revolution, it lacked a functional central leadership to unite the party as one, resulting in repeated frustrations and at some points, even jeopardizing the cause. The Zunyi meeting in 1935 laid the groundwork for establishing the leading position within the Central Committee of the correct Marxist line, chiefly represented by Mao Zedong. The first generation of the party's collective central leadership with Mao at the core started to take shape, ensuring success in the party's later endeavors. History and our experience have proved that the unity and solidarity of the party determines the future of the party and the people and secures the fundamental interests of the country. It is our foundation and must be ensured at all times and under all circumstances. To govern the world's biggest political party and most populous country, we must uphold the party's centralized unified leadership and the Central Committee's authority, and ensure that the party exercises overall leadership and coordinates work in all areas. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, we have addressed problems of weakened, ineffective, and marginalized measures in upholding party leadership that had existed for some time, and called on the whole party to take responsibility in upholding the party's centralized unified leadership, with constant improvements in the party's leadership system. The whole party has become more unified in thinking with greater political solidarity and more concerted action. The resolution adopted at this plenary session reiterates the importance of strengthening the centralized unified leadership of the Central Committee, requiring the whole party to act consistently with the Central Committee and remain strong as iron on its march forward. Unity and solidarity require absolute loyalty from all party members. Loyalty to the party is the political character essential to China's communists. It should be sincere, unconditional, and absolute, allowing no room for maneuver. All party members, especially leading officials, must remain fully aligned with the Central Committee in political stance, orientation, principles, and path. They must be loyal to the party and the people, to the party's ideals and convictions, to its original aspiration and founding mission, to its organization, and to its theories, guidelines, and policies. They must strictly observe the party's political discipline and rules, and uphold the Central Committee's centralized, unified leadership in thinking, action, and political principles. Loyalty to the party is not an empty slogan and cannot be perfunctory. It calls for action in executing the Central Committee's decisions and plans, in performing one's duties diligently and effectively, and in following discipline and rules in daily life. Party members must respond promptly to the Central Committee's calls, fully implement its decisions, and put a stop to anything it prohibits. This should be unconditional, and no deviation is allowed. All party members should stay on the right track and join their forces to forge a strong synergy. End of audiobook part 2.